They let the shark off the hook. Don't let it happen again. Members of the jury, throughout this trial, the prosecution has tried to prove to you that Logan Haynes committed the act of murdering Zoe Torrance. And throughout this process, they let the loan shark, Sasha Portnoy, off the hook. This case starts back when Sasha and Zoe originally met. As C.J. Morgan explained to you, Zoe had quite the gambling problem and found herself in about $500,000 worth of debt to Sasha. As C.J. Morgan explained to you, Zoe was scared for her life due to this debt and the threats that Sasha was making against her. Not only that, but Sasha also admitted to having Zoe ice. Ladies of the jury, Zoe Torrance died due to hypothermia. Claiming to have Zoe ice is no mere coincidence in this case. But I'm sure you're wondering why you should even trust C.J. Morgan. While C.J. does have a past criminal history and admits to that, she is here in court today with nothing to gain and no ulterior motive. If anything, she is putting herself at risk by turning on a known mobster and intimidator. And she would have told the police everything that she told you in court today if they had simply listened to her. More specifically, if the detective D. Branch had chosen to not go against what a detective generally does by following all leads and taken her calls. Now, Parker Young also explained to you that this case was that of a premeditated murder, meaning that there must have been forethought. Meaning that if this murder were committed by someone like Logan Haynes, as Parker Young explained to you, it would have been that of a crime of passion, meaning that any premeditated thoughts would have died out in that moment. Now, Detective Branch also claims that there would have been more signs of a violent physical message if this were committed by someone like someone in the mob, yet fails to recognize the shortcomings that are presented within the autopsy, the burn marks as well as the strangulation marks found on Zoe Torrance. Now, you also heard from Joe Walker, an expert in forensic accounting, who explained that they noticed signs of extortion from the business, as well as Sasha Portnoy suspiciously hanging around the bistro. But of course, Sasha Portnoy had a story for this as well. Sasha claims that she was hanging around the bistro to collect her debts from Zoe Torrance, but just happened to be there when she happened to see Logan Haynes force Zoe into the cooler. But ladies of the jury, this is where the prosecution's evidence stops, and the much reasonable doubt starts to creep in. The only evidence that the prosecution has of this is the word of a known mobster and Logan Haynes' fingerprints on a kitchen knife, a lock, and the door. But this makes nothing more than complete sense, knowing that Logan Haynes was not only a co-owner of the Georgia Bistro, but also was a chef. To put it plainly, Logan Haynes had nothing to gain in today's case. But of course, the prosecution claims that Logan Haynes had the $500,000 buy-sell agreement to gain. But if this were true, then Logan Haynes had committed the murder of Zoe Torrance, then he would gain no money and would have murder charges on his hands. Zoe Torrance was his dear friend and business partner. More than anything, Logan Haynes wanted to help Zoe Torrance untangle herself from the people that she had ultimately fallen victim to. Now, the prosecution has the burden of proof in today's case, which means that they must prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt the charges brought against Logan Haynes, which are malice murder, which is murder with thought beforehand, felony murder, which is murder while committing a felony, and that said felony, which is false imprisonment, confining someone without authority. The prosecution has failed to meet this burden today. There is simply too much doubt, not enough credible witnesses, and simply no solid forensic evidence pointing towards the conviction of Logan Haynes. If you believe that there is any possible way that Sasha Portnoy could have killed Zoe Torrance, then you must acquit the defendant. That is why we, the defense, ask you to find Logan Haynes not guilty on all charges. They let the shark off the hook. Don't let it happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Closing argument, Ms. Johnson.